Hello everybody and welcome back to the More Bus Videos YouTube channel. I'm on More Bus Videos, otherwise known as and More Central, depending on what day of the week and what video you're watching. And welcome back to the Tesco Superstore in the amazing Adstore project. We're back on Adstore for our third of 4 videos that we're going to be doing on this map at the moment. We've been given lovely special beta work in progress access to the map. I believe it is in variation number 5 of sort of updates and bits like that. So we're taking a look at all the different routes and seeing what they're all like, having a little discussion about them, seeing what the scenery is like, what the routes are going to be like, discussing what we're going to expect to see in the future and what we've currently got. So do bear in mind that it is all a work in progress. What you are about to see is all still unfinished. It does not represent the final product. The final product will be released at some point in due course, but what we are about to see does not represent the final product. There may be bits that you see in the map that are not perfect. There may be little bits of bugs that may be going on. There may be scenery that isn't quite finished as of yet, and that is because it is a work in progress. As a result of that, it isn't available for download as of yet. We're just previewing what they've got at the moment and getting quite hyped and excited as a result. So in this video, we are going to be taking a look at the 2A service. So we looked, I believe, at the 19 in the previous video that runs from the town centre up to Tesco. It is going to extend eventually. This is only a temporary terminus at the moment. So I thought in this video, we'd do the other route that runs along the same corridor, the competing service, the 2A, that I believe is run by Stagecoach. Thus, by ignoring the registration plate from a First West Yorkshire Optare Solo, we have got a Stagecoach Optare Solo that we are going to use on the 2A. We're going to pretend it's got a paper destination blind, as for some reason the blinds aren't wanting to work at the moment. I have got the flip dots on as well, so I don't know why it's just not wanting to come up at all. But we're going to pretend we've got a paper blind in. We're operating a competing corridor service, shuttle bus service. They needed a bus, they needed the money. So they've just sent this bus out on this little local service with a paper blind one. So that's the narrative we're gonna go with. There we go, and we are now all good to go. To be fair, I understand with the veiling why you need a loop that big. However, with the Solo, we can kind of use a very small section of that loop and still get around. That's quite nice. So we're doing this in the return section because the 2A and the 19 follow the same route. They are competing bus services, so they're sort of running competition with each other. I believe the idea is that the 2A is run by Stagecoach and the 19 is run by First, that we did in the previous video. It seems that the Veiling B7 RLEs are the staple vehicle of choice at the moment for both route allocations, but when we did it last time, it wasn't the busiest route in the world, so that's why I thought we'd pick the Solo for the Stagecoach run. It's also a changing vehicle, and the route is quite tight in places, so it does make life a little bit easier on a bus like this. And as I say, this is the third of 4 videos. We do have one very exciting other random route. I believe it is the longest of the current routes on the map, about half an hour, 40 minutes long, something like that. And we do have that in the next video to cover. I'm leaving that till the last video as sort of like an exciting end to the mini Adstow project series. So we discussed in the last video that it's like Barnstaple. That's what I think of this like. It's like First Devon and Stagecoach Devon in Barnstaple, where First had operated in Barnstaple for years. Stagecoach then showed up, did some high-level competition on corridors that arguably probably didn't need the competition. That there wasn't enough passengers to warrant the high intense competition they were doing, and as a result of that, Stagecoach pumped quite a lot of money into Barnstaple on routes that it really didn't need to pump the money into, and as a result, First eventually left. So it was going down the road of Stagecoach once again using the guerrilla tactics that they had used in sort of previous deregulation days to secure the empire that they've currently got, by running buses a couple of minutes in front of the competitor and getting new vehicles in, and then when the competitor left, reducing the frequency of the services and getting all the brand new buses sent elsewhere. It was that kind of thing in Barnstaple, and that's why it's so significant, because it was the most recent sort of definition of the old post-deregulation style competition. So think of including it on a map like this, where the services are both quite high frequency. There isn't necessarily the passengers to warrant it, but they are really, really high frequency, is something that is worth documenting. It is worth having in Omsi 2, and as I say, I think we discussed entirely all of this in the last video, but it is really, really worth having. So as I say, I do apologise that the destination line's not working. I have got a HOF file for the map, but I do believe that I put the HOF file for one of these specific Master Switch or Studio Polygon vehicles on it, so that's why it's thrown a little bit of a hissy fit for this. I do want to get some nice screenshots, so. But yeah, the idea is that these routes are going to get extended a bit more. There'll be a bit more route to them. There'll be a bit more route to them, and they'll be slightly longer. As I say, if you're talking about a half an hour, 40-minute bus route, that's very, very ample for Omsi 2. Very ideal for Omsi 2 and what you can expect. And it's enough to sort of have enough buses for competition and have a nice layover point and bits like that. Potentially, if the routes are really high competition, and you can potentially do a layover point with stacking like you have in, let's say, East Disbury in Manchester, where, like the Magic buses, you can have about 4 or 5 Magic buses sat there laying over for different periods of time. So it's a lovely map. I mean, as I say, at the moment it does only have a couple of routes, but a couple of routes is better than no routes at all. And as I say, the idea behind the map is it is quite, these routes, for example, are very, very residential, but it builds in bits like, as you can see, the Stagecoach depot, it builds them in a really, really clever, nice way. So it sort of builds it all in. It's really, really nice. A really nice construct of how it's all sort of been put together. Now what I'll do is I'll pull into this bus stop here and we'll have a little nosy, because we are doing the Stagecoach run, and I've just remembered that I did say we were going to go from the depot, and I've totally forgotten. We'll have a little look for a brief second at the depot. As you can see, all the markings have been done for the depot. That's quite nice. The markings have been done. Very, very clever way of having this. This shed here, this is quite nice. Yeah, there's nothing in it, but it is still what you would expect from a Stagecoach depot, is this kind of shed. So you'd have sort of all your engineering and bits like that in there. Then you've got another one of the old objects that we're quite used to seeing there. But it builds it into, actually, instead of just having the one building, it makes it into a more realistic depot. So you know that you'd actually have a bigger engineering area, bigger underneath storage, potentially for MOTs, bits like that. Like you've got that construct there, and then you've got the wash that you can see on the end, and you've got a nice array of even branded AI buses that once the game unloads, tries to unload the entirety of the town centre, and we can have a look at. But it doesn't seem to. There we go. We've got the nice, as I said, the nice wash here. Again, realistic point for the wash. You've got the markings here. You've got the Stagecoach, the new Stagecoach logo with the Southwest names on that. Again, I think it's a really, really nice feature. It would be nice to see some of these painted into the new Stagecoach livery. I believe they're all in the beach ball. I think that would be realistic. Probably like 1 or 2 for like realism. As I say, for now, still looks pretty cool. We've got some nice branding on this. I don't know if that route has changed since the AI bus was done. But again, still really, really nice. And I do love the tiny little feature of the beach ball logos as the bullet points down there. Again, a nice little feature. But anyway, let's get ourselves on the move. There goes A19. Oh, we're doing okay for time. We did have time to kill, actually, so that's worked out quite nicely.
Good day, driver.
Hey, we are at these roadworks again. Again, I do think that these roadworks are incredibly cool how they've been constructed. Ignore the fact that the car in front of us seems to only partially exist. I don't quite know how that's happened. Yeah, I think this is a main issue I found with this map, and it is absolutely nothing against the high detail, everything going on, but because of the vehicles that are used on AI, they are lovely vehicles. We've got the E-formed and MMC, we've got the veiling, we've got the street deck. The problem is, and it's an issue that I found in my own map production, is if you use vehicles on AI that are really, really detailed, high poly, bits like that, you tend to find very, very quickly that half your AI buses textures disappear. Sometimes the textures on your own vehicle disappear. And don't get me wrong, although it is absolutely lovely to see all of like the E-formed and MMCs and bits like that on AI, for the realism that you then lose when AI cars start to disappear and buses branding starts to vanish and bits like that, and you're going past vehicles that the textures are not working on because it's run out of memory. It just gets to the stage where you just like, I just wish that we had sort of the more basic vehicles. I mean, don't get me wrong, we're not going back to B7L era, but stuff like just standard C400s and bits like that, bits that were built for like London but can cope. So it's like London was quite detailed, quite big, but the buses were built relatively low resolution so that you can have a lot of them and they still work properly. So that, as much as it does vein me to say, because I'm also a fan of realistic AI buses and the variety of vehicles and the idea that you can just jump into an AI bus and stuff like that. I absolutely love it. The problem is nowadays is because of the variety of computers and bits like that that people play Omsi 2 on, you have to have an AI list that is built for people who do have the high-res computers and people who don't. And I mean, mine is, as you quite know, it is a relatively high one, so we do tend to be okay with things. That's why I've really noticed it with this map, because it's. I've had it the odd time in Boardingham, if I've sort of done like 2 or 3 different routes and I've loaded in 2 or 3 different buses, I've had it. But again, that's a given, because if you do load in like a 400 MMC, then a veiling, then a renown, you kind of expect it to happen because Omsi 2 can only cope with so much. However, it's like, for this, for example, I've just loaded this bus in, I've just done this short trip, and even before we got to Adstore, there's some of the cars have disappeared because you can't load the textures. So that's my only bit of constructive criticism. Is for those watching who are going, oh well, where are they all going for resolution and bits like that, where they all disappearing off? It's by me saying that, hopefully it becomes a little bit more understandable as to where the textures have gone. It's not the developer's fault. It's very much Omsi 2's capabilities, and I think it's incredibly easy to forget just what Omsi 2 is capable of and what it isn't capable of. I think it's really, really easy to sort of forget sometimes, sort of just assume that because we've got some really, really, really highly detailed maps and bits, we assume that Omsi 2 can continue to cope with it, when Omsi 2, the reality of it is that it was built to replicate a little part of Berlin. And I think we do sometimes forget that. So unfortunately, whether we like it or not, we are limited on modelling capabilities, on what we can do and what we can achieve. That, as I say again, is a shame, but there are ways to mitigate it. As I say, reducing the variety of vehicles on your AI list. I found vehicles like the street deck tend to cope quite well on an AI list, and they don't tend to be the highest resolution in the world. Meanwhile, stuff like the Studio Polygon 400 MMC, that's very much for a you driving kind of bus. You drive that and spawn it in yourself rather than having it on an AI list, because unfortunately on an AI list it's too highly detailed for Omsi 2 to be able to load in an entire map and loading 10 of them on AI, for example. So it's that kind of thing. You do strike a balance. There is a balance that can be achieved between it and getting the variety of detail and AI. I mean, it's like some people have gone down the road where they've made maps not that detailed, use lower resolution scenery to have a higher AI list. Some people have gone on the detailed map route, like West Country, and they've then used quite a basic AI list of sort of C400s. So there are different routes to go down, there are different options, and everybody's computers are different. But I think to say nowadays, obviously, what the average thing is, whether we like it or not, Omsi 2 does struggle with certain vehicles on AI, just purely because we've gone beyond the capabilities of what Omsi 2 was ever expecting to do, what the developers ever thought the game was going to do. So, yeah, that's my little rant about sort of graphics and bits like that. As I say, mine isn't the highest of the highest of the highest. It isn't like the mega top end of things. So it's not. This does not represent everyone's, because I'm very, very much not on the high end. But to say that I'm somewhere in the average, slightly above average on PC spec, it is something that in this day and age you do have to consider in order to make your maps playable for everyone. And I mean, there are quite a few maps where they'll have a very, very basic boss AI list and a realistic one. And I think, again, that's something really to consider at the moment, because we do want to keep the details. I mean, this map is absolutely phenomenal with the details and what have. But it's like we have only seen a couple of AI bosses, and I personally, I mean, some people are very different. Some people would like to reduce the quality of the scenery to have more AI and variety of buses that you pass, but for me, I'd rather keep the quality of the AI and probably pass a couple of veilings, a couple of street decks, and I'd be happy. That would be me. I don't need the variety. But again, everybody is different. Everybody prefers different things. We're actually quite busy going into town on this. Although I do say that, the 400 MMCs do still have all their textures on, what I keep seeing, so... As much as it is a high sort of memory vehicle, it is a very high memory vehicle, they do all seem to still be functioning correctly. It seems to be the cars that have gone off on one today, so...
Dear me, this is sure unacceptable.
It's fine. So it's going to be a phenomenal map, is this, with all the routes that we're going to get added, the extensions to like the 2A and the 19, it's going to have a variety. You've got the options of sort of doing a longer distance run, doing a highly competitive run, doing a run on the seafront. There's so many different opportunities for what you can do, and that I just think is absolutely awesome. And again, one of my favourite things on this map, very much a cliche, but is this bus station. I think this bus station is absolutely phenomenal. It's sort of taken the idea of how I used to do the bus bays, where I'd do it so that there was still the opportunity for them to turn straight out. If you put the pathing quite sharp for them to leave, they will just sort of do it quite sharp. Yeah, you've got to be careful how many buses you park next to each other and the times that they run and bits like that, but beyond that, you can get a realistic setup of a bus station there if you do time it strategically.
Maybe you should stick with scale electric.
And again, I do also love how this bus station is sort of in the middle of the roundabout. I do think that is really, really cool. I do want to get a screenshot of the bus pulling into the bus station. I just need to work out how I'm going to do it. That can be edited accordingly. There we go, that'll do. Again, it does remind me a little bit of Truro bus station. I do think is awesome. We will ignore the guy that's currently submerging into the ground. These things happen. Again, it is a work in progress map. It does not represent the final product. There we go. So that was the 2A. I right enjoyed that run. And really, really nice. As I say, apologies for the AI cars disappearing. Again, it's what we discussed with the limitations of Omsi 2, whether we like it or not. We are limited by the game that we use to construct all these maps on. But anyway, with all that said and done, I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Do make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, so you can find the other Adstore project videos I've done. You can contrast the 2A with the 19, and we can have a little look at the open top bus route, the one that's just going behind the solo now. I've also done a video on that, so do go and check that video out. That was a lovely, lovely run with that 99. And then in the next video as well, so you do subscribe so you don't miss it, we are going to be doing that 16 service that goes up to Castleton. I'm really, really excited about it. Should be quite nice and scenic. We're getting out of the town a little bit, so that's going to be really, really exciting. But anyway, with all that said and done, I do hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have done, do be sure to click that like button so that more people can find it and enjoy like you have. And if you haven't already, do be sure to subscribe to the M850 Videos YouTube channel for more content like this from the simulation section with videos up to twice a week. Once again, I'd like to thank you all for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed this one, and I will see you all in the next video I make. Goodbye for now. Bye!